UOB is a strong and successful company, and they have obtained a rare first-mover advantage within the mobile banking industry. Additionally, they're operating in an environment where competitive pressures are growing, as well as the fact that they need to bolster their offering to keep their market strong. That's why today we're here to present you our strategy of bolster and grow to ensure that you remain competitive and achieve profitable growth moving forward. Good afternoon. My name is Rhiannon and I'm joined by my consulting peers Maria, Tom and Nick, and we are Real Consulting. In coming and formulating this strategy of bolster and grow, a couple of key challenges were driving our decisions. The first of which is that you need to provide digital solutions that maintain and are staying relevant to your consumers. The second is that you need to achieve high customer acquisition and usage of your app to truly leverage your value proposition and first mover advantage. And thirdly, you need the supply side acceptance of contactless payments. This led us to our strategy of bolster and grow, which looks at addressing both the demand side and the supply side. The two pillars to address the demand side challenges are to bolster your offering through Mighty App, as well as a Mighty App marketing strategy. On the supply side, we will look at accelerating the shift to a digital payment system. Eventually, overall, this will obtain you a 4% increase in market share, 150,000 new app users, and an over 100% increase in contactless payment terminals. Let's have a look at some of the key insights that really drove the strategy forward. The first of which, and as we alluded to, you're in an industry that's undergoing rapid technological transformation, where we now see 92% penetration in digital banking. A couple of key insights to draw from this is the fact that youth and affluent consumers are driving the shift to digital, and Singapore is really leading the charge here, with 92% penetration in digital banking. Also, mobile platforms are driving this growth, which really signals that further development in mobile technologies is the way forward in digital banking. When we look at how you've responded to this, you responded through the Mighty App with a key value proposition comprising three areas: that it keeps with consumers' changing lifestyles, that it combines everything into an all-in-one solution, and that you are Asia's first contactless payment system. What is challenging you right now is the fact that behaviours in both the demand side and the supply side of your market, you cannot fully leverage the value proposition of Mighty App, and this is what we're here to address today. Some of those key challenges is the fact that many Singaporeans still pay for purchases with cash and don't see the value in an integrated solution like this. On the supply side, only 15% of Singaporean suppliers actually accept contactless payment. So in order to be successful, you need to overcome these challenges to move forward with your app offering. But to overcome these challenges, we need to take a look at who your digital banking consumers are, because in this market, it's very different. In the digital banking market, consumers are not segmented by geography. In fact, they are segmented by behaviour and the fact that specific segments want the same digital offering from a banking offering. And these are the three key segments that UOB Mighty can service in moving forward. These are New World adopters, elites, and the upwardly mobile. Taking a further look at who these three segments are, there is no age bound in these segments, nor is there an income bound. Rather, it's a behavioural aspect of what they're looking for in a digital banking offering, specifically that they value financial advice and actively engage with banking products. Additionally, when we look across geographies, we notice again, these three segments in key Asian markets represent nearly half of the population out of all those 8 segments. So what we've done today, and we'll take you through how we intend on bolstering the app offering for a specific segment, but this can be leveraged across these 3 core segments who have a strong representation across Asian markets. We have created a scalable solution, and today we're going to show you how to roll that out in the Singaporean market. Let me hand over to Nick to take you through the app enhancement.
Now, it will be overly simplistic of me to get up here and tell you about your technological and speed restraints which are causing consumers not to engage with the app effectively. You're working on this and this will be solved for a future update. However, even when this does come to the market, consumers are requiring more than merely a simplistic banking tool in their banking app. that encompasses transactions only. Ultimately, this means that your app needs to be enhanced to cater for these three consumer groups as previously identified. To talk you through this, let's take an example of a consumer group. Meet Ryan. Ryan's 25 years old and enjoys life's luxuries. However, he has family aspirations. Ultimately, this means Ryan does like enjoying an exciting lifestyle. However, he has to budget and manage his finances, not only to cater for that lifestyle, but any future pavement of roads ahead. Let's see how this app can help Ryan enjoy his exciting lifestyle. This will become not merely an app on Ryan's smartphone, but a lifestyle companion through integrating 4 key capacities. This firstly being contactless payments. This is your key strength, and 79% of your consumers want this. However, at the moment, this isn't rolled out through enough stores for Ryan to take advantage of it. So ultimately, through our second prong, he'll be able to have improved ability and ease of use, meaning he won't need to take clunky wallets or cash everywhere he goes. Secondly, a loyalty program. 63% of these consumers want one. So every time Ryan goes to a store and pays through contactless payment, he will get Mighty Money, which can then be used in future retailers who are partnered with Mighty Money programs. In addition, he'll get targeted suggestions. 58% of consumers want this. These will be targeted amongst travel, dining and retail, and using his previous spending and consumer data to tailor targeted focus strategies specifically to him, and also based on the consumer spending of people who fit a same profile. And finally, he'll get exclusive savings. 61% of consumers value discounts through mobile applications. So Ryan will get notifications whenever a store he usually taps on with has a sale on, and other members only access sales. Secondly, turning to how he'll be able to budget and manage his finances to not only cater for the first component, but also his life ahead. This will be done through 4 key elements of the app. Firstly, he'll be able to set goals. These goals can be long-term, short-term, clear, depending on the individual, and his consumer spending patterns will be able to alert him as to how he is achieving these goals. Secondly, he'll be able to track his expenditure, which him among 65% of other consumers wish to do. This will use wherever he taps his card and create easily accessible and readable pie charts to show exactly where his money is going, allowing him to make better future decisions. In addition, we recognise that at present, not all Singaporean stores cater for tapping cards. So, if he goes to a cash-only store, he can easily take a photo of a receipt and the data will be populated in amongst his profile. And finally, he'll be able to sync his networks. So whenever there's a Facebook event coming up that he's going to a concert or an email for a meeting, he'll be able to see exactly what he needs to budget to suit those specific elements of his life. So through this app, Ryan, amongst many other different consumers as previously identified, will be able to enjoy an exciting lifestyle and budget and maintain his finances at the same time. But how do we get this in consumers' hands?
You have the best app. You have well-segmented and well-targeted consumers. But yet here we are. How do you increase the reach of this app? It's simple. Get there with UOB-Mighty. What that is an advertisement that we plan to roll out as an example of a virtual reality pop-up stand. This is supposed to, for consumers, address the fact that UOB-Mighty is their absolute lifestyle partner by showing them what they can achieve by partnering with us and what we can deliver for them by efficient management of their finances. So this will be a gimmick that is rolled out in key locations throughout Singapore. We will be attacking places that consumers that we highlighted will regularly visit in order to ensure maximum value is achieved for the money spent. So over a month-long period, these pop-up stands will be rolled out, and consumers will be immersed in what UOB Mighty can do for them as their lifestyle partner. Additionally to this, we'll be looking to YouTube and Google advertising for a couple of key reasons. Consumers in Asia now spend more time watching video commercials and videos than they spend on Facebook. So leveraging the VR videos that we have released in order to attract these consumers will be key. Secondly, having targeted ads on Google is very important in the Singaporean market specifically. 60% of Singaporeans Google anything before they make any kind of decision. And secondly, they have 3.3 devices per person in this country. So it's important that we explain the functionality, but also what consumers can achieve through utilising this app and partnering with us.
Growth in demand, however, cannot occur in isolation. It needs to be coupled with an accelerated digital uptake on the supply side. But a key challenge is that your businesses do not see the value of having this technology. This presents two opportunities for UOB. Firstly, they can wait for the industry to catch up with the technology. But this is not leveraging the key value proposition of your app and is also leaving the door open for your competitors. That is why UOB needs to be that driving force, accelerating that technology uptake. We've identified 4 key industries for UOB to target, which are highly receptive to new technology and have that high customer involvement. But what does this incentive package look like? Well, it needs to communicate the value of the technology and also overcome the barrier of the cost of the terminals. UOB can provide a comprehensive incentive package. Firstly, through that lifestyle partnership, by expanding the components of your Lifestyle and Mighty app, you'll be providing the businesses the businesses will become the recommended businesses. What does this mean for the business? They're going to have increased foot traffic into their stores, a tangible benefit they can see tomorrow. Secondly, experiencing that new technology, they'll have business efficiencies realised and also offer customers an improved experience, a convenient, fast way of processing their payments. But through this process, the business will also receive data. Now, this data can be used to gain insights and adapt their product offerings to further improve that customer experience. All these benefits can be communicated through a sales team. Being told is one thing, but experiencing is a completely different story. What is more convincing than seeing the benefits direct in your business? That is why we propose a free trial of this technology. We see a great opportunity with the Singapore government recognising that fintech is the future. There's $225 million that we can access through grants, which we've already accessed for the FinLab. This is a great opportunity for the businesses to realise incentives and get the supply side going.
Finally, let's take a look at some of the outcomes as a result of this strategy. We see a 4% increase in market share over the coming 4 years, as well as 150,000 new users by the end of 2018, the start of 2019. Additionally, we see $105 million in new revenue created from the switching of consumers from other banks to partner with UOB Mighty. We'll happily walk you through some of the assumptions behind that later on. This will be implemented over the short term with strategies starting at the end of 2016 and start of 2017, looking at both the supply side and the demand side in order to ensure there's sufficient demand on both sides. So what have we told you today? We have addressed 3 key challenges, ultimately through our strategy Bolster and Grow. We've addressed the problems on the demand side through an increased offering of the app, as well as an effective marketing strategy to ensure that consumers are aware of what UOB can achieve with them in their hand. Additionally, on the supply side, we have seen a digital acceleration of the Singaporean market, consumers moving towards the use of contactless payment and really accelerating that through partnering with key people and businesses within the market. Ultimately, as I've stated before, this will result in a 4% increase in market share, 150,000 new app users, and ultimately a large proliferation of contactless payments throughout Singapore. Thank you.
Judges, you guys may begin your 15-minute Q&A. Thank you for your presentation. I've got two questions. The first is I think maybe third slide indicated that this was something very ubiquitous, that you gave numbers like 92%, 94%. So if it's so ubiquitous, why do you need to segment it? That's the first question. In the second question, there are three components: banking, lifestyle in the sense of dining, and payments. You seem to, from my perspective, when I see the presentation, overemphasized a lot on payments and didn't touch really on the dining and the banking part. What was the rationale behind that?
I'll answer the segmentation question. So essentially the rationale behind that was that we're still seeing quite low adoption rates of this sort of technology. One, because there's an issue on the supply side, and two, on the demand side. While people are banking in digital, and that was what that statistic was from, 92% penetration in digital banking, mobile banking isn't quite as strong. So we've segmented the market to show you clearly where the value proposition is in your digital app offering for those three markets specifically because of their behavioural characteristics. And then we also recognise that these are key characteristics across Asian markets, showing that this is a scalable strategy. In terms of the second question.
So in terms of the second question, we focused on your lifestyle and also the payments. So lifestyle through expanding your offerings through the app, and also payments by targeting that supply side. We didn't touch on doing banking such as processing loans through the medium or things like that, because we're very aware of the regulations in terms of banking and knowing your customer. So we really wanted to build upon the success you've already seen through your lifestyle component in the dining sphere, and also make sure that there's that uptake on that supply side.
Just as a retort to that, so does it mean that you already felt the initial strategy was so successful that there's nothing else that needs to be done? Because your presentation seems to be a build on rather than an evaluation of how successful you have been, and therefore what you need to do. I mean, for example, when you say bolster and grow, do you need to bolster what has already been done? Because you dwell a lot on what you're going to do next rather than analyzing, how well it has been received, and therefore do you need to bolster existing or modify existing before you go to this stage?
So we've seen 60,000 downloads of this app, and it has been rather strong. So we don't see that there's a significant consumer acceptance, but we want to incentivize consumers to get on board. You identified lifestyle dining as an option, so we've extended that to say we're going to offer you things through restaurants, through taxi services, through cafes, fashion retailers. So taking your initial lifestyle offering and leveraging that to other key markets was where we want to take that in terms of bolstering. So yeah, we think that it is an enhancement rather than a total scrapping or changing, because this is something that consumers will see value in. We just need to add a few more of the specifics to it so that it becomes a part of their lifestyle more frequently.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Gravitating towards your starting part where you talk about growth, and your last slide where you talk about 4% increase in market share, 150K of new user. Could you walk us through your assumption in terms of how you get to those numbers? Thank you.
Okay, so there were some assumptions around how much, first of all, the banking penetration. So you see that 96.4% of Singapore is banking penetrated. Secondly, we looked at how many people we think are not banking with UOB, and looking at the market size there in terms of how many people we can acquire. Then some assumptions were made around how many people, once converted over to the app, actually bring all of their finances with them. Secondly, looking at the per revenue customer figure, trying to get an idea around that. So looking at what the retail revenue was, the breakdown in the balance sheet, and then looking at roughly how many customers we think you have, and putting a variation around that in terms of how much variance we think each individual customer will bring in. So we only had 41% of them actually bringing their banking over, while the other 41% weren't adding specific revenue value to that. And then looking at standard growth and projecting that forward as well, and working out how much market share we think we can gain through those increased customers.
Also, I'd like to thank you for the presentation. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. First, I want to ask you a question about a couple of firsts that you mentioned in your presentation. One of the firsts you mentioned was you would be Asia's first contactless payment system. What is the advantage of being Asia's first contactless payment system?
There's always an advantage of being first in anything. So we see that you're ahead of the game in providing that service, even though we do see that on the ground that may not necessarily see value.
What I'm concerned about is the qualification being Asia's first. So would there be an advantage to being Asia's first Facebook, Asia's first Google? Because we know there's contactless payment systems there. So why does the adjective of Asia make it more important or advantageous?
Absolutely, because in mobile banking specifically, emerging Asia as well as some parts of developed Asia are behind in this sort of digital and mobile banking and contactless payments. So while it may not mean much to say you're Europe's first because the technology or Australia's first because the technology is much more developed, it does mean something when you say Asia's first.
One would assume that technology is ubiquitous across countries, so you can still Apple Pay, you can still do other kinds of payment contactless. So the second one I wanted to ask about was, you mentioned there's a first mover advantage. Actually, you did specifically 2 or 3 times. What is the first mover advantage?
In terms of in contactless payment?
No, we're finished with that. Just a question.
So just being the first mover, we're meaning the first mover in this contactless payment sphere, and you can use that.
No. You said more generally, to develop this app is going to give first mover advantage to UOB. What is the first mover advantage associated with this app?
The first mover is in leveraging contactless payment to filter back
That's
into
it?
the application, as well as certain aspects surrounding actually being the first to integrate technology payment into an application that then is able to better manage your finances, better filter information back to you.
Okay.
And
when you have a first mover advantage, you presume that the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth entrants will not be able to do what you do. So what is it that you're doing that's going to differentiate you from, what is it about being first that allows you to maintain sustained differentiation against subsequent entrants?
in this sustained differentiation in this market is about, firstly, we needed to acknowledge that this existed. It's an all-in-one solution that's combining lifestyle, mobile, and banking solutions.
Right,
and
and if it works, then DBS and OCBC will do the same thing.
Absolutely.
So why will you be protected?
Will be protected because we're able to, in a compelling way, bring consumers on board and keep updating our offering to what their lifestyle is demanding. And that's what UOB have been good at doing so far. So what they've seen is that consumers want more from a banking app than simply being able to transfer payments. They want it to be integrated.
I understand there's a premise behind the creation of this app, but then there's the execution and usage of this app. Once that idea is out there, even if the UOB people are very creative and brilliant in creating and establishing this, they still have to maintain it, differentiate it from other people who will imitate it.
Absolutely, and we do recognise that that's a key challenge, and that's why we've gone with this strategy, because digital revolutions in this industry specifically are so fast that you need to move quickly when you have one, and that's what we've identified now. We don't know what the next disruptor is going to be, even in 2 years' time. That's why we want to move first on this competitive advantage that we have.
If I make the statement that you haven't really figured out what is most differentiable, what would be your response to that? How will you defend it? I just repeat the question. Have you really found what can be most differentiated in this particular instance? And why do you think that you have done so?
What's most differentiated about Mighty app compared to
What can be most differentiated
its
as time passes? And why?
Well, right now it's the fact that Mighty app is combined. So your competitors, DBS and OCBC, are offering an app that has a lifestyle. It's all across 3 apps. So right now you're in one application.
So if that's the case, then why did you develop that further? Because you spent a lot of time on only one component of it.
The one component was developing your lifestyle within that app, as well as developing
You
budget.
spent a lot of time on the payments part, how you equip the payments and so on and so forth. When you just mentioned that the most differentiable component over time is the fact that it's integrated. But you didn't really develop that further, is that correct?
We're sorry that didn't come through in the presentation. What we are developing is your lifestyle offerings in terms of, right now you offer dining discounts. So we're developing that and taking that to other fashion retailers, to cafes, things like that. So we're sorry if that didn't come through. And then we're looking at how we can as a bank, better advise our customers to ensure that they're saving better, to ensure that they're budgeting better. So that is how we're leveraging that banking side of the application. So where we believe we've really leveraged is both the lifestyle and the banking components.
So one question, thank you. If I give you an opportunity to tell us a bit more as to how you want to articulate your implementation plan, because there's a lot to do with the how. How would you give us in quick 5 sentences? Just give us your view as to how you prioritize and how you want to execute your implementation plan. Just 5 sentences.
So turning to the demand side, we're really going to look to expanding the components of your Mighty app and ensuring that you don't have those technical difficulties you experienced with your current app. Additionally, we'll be looking at rolling out that marketing to see what consumers can really achieve with that Mighty app. So seeing that they can go on that holiday that they've dreamed of if they actually take into account finances in every decision that they make. Additionally, through that supply side, we're really aiming to communicate those benefits through that sales team and get those terminals into those stores right away.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. The question is on contactless payments. While the Mighty app was the first in Singapore and Asia to launch contactless payments via a mobile banking app, we've seen the entrance of Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, and Android Pay into the market. With the entrance of these players now, would you still follow the same strategy you're presenting here, or would that change things?
Most definitely. Looking at the Singaporean region specifically, there isn't the infrastructure to support these applications, no matter whether it's Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. They don't have the ability to get the machinery to process these payments in the hands of merchants. We have the contacts with the merchants. We have a particular contact with the dining industry and different merchants within Singapore who trust UOB that will enable us to put the technology in their hands to facilitate the payments purely through the UOB system.
But wouldn't increasing the supply side at the merchant level also facilitate the same capabilities for Apple Pay and Samsung Pay?
So it will also enable them to make the payments through the terminals. However, the key driver is that you're offering recommendations through that app. So the businesses know that their business is coming through that UOB portal.
Thank you.
Just one more question here. Two things. First thing is, it's been asked earlier by one of us here, that is, do you leverage and build on what has been achieved, you feel, in the aspect of, for example, cards, wealth management, lifestyle? You stress on lifestyle and the mechanism of payment, but how beyond aspects? One. Two, in terms of the corporate vision of talking about, you look at the UOB's advertisement, it mentioned about, it doesn't matter how we begin in the end, our value define us. How do you reflect this in all your strategies?
Turning to the second question first, we recognise that UOB are a very people-focused bank. You want to prioritise Singaporeans' lifestyle and well-being. We even have quotes from your CEO saying that UOB want to do more, to even go as far as telling consumers what they can do on the weekend. So by prioritising this lifestyle aspect, we're playing to that key value of the company. That's why we framed it as a lifestyle partner, not merely an app, to cater for the needs of those individual consumers, which ultimately reflects the bank's main interests. Turning to the first question, would you repeating that?
How does it, there are other, you only mentioned a lot on lifestyle and payment. How about the other products, which is UOB offers itself? Do you leverage on their success? For example, you mentioned the first mover advantage on the contactless payment. And how about the others, the wealth management side and the other product which the UOB also offers itself? Do you think that you can leverage that as well?
Definitely, we definitely foresee that. The main advantage that we want to leverage through this is your first mover in the contactless payment. We can also leverage your existing traction in gaining lifestyle partners and restaurants and all those sorts of things. This can further be leveraged in the future by having consumer data, having them in the ecosystem to then promote further services such as home loans or further investment advice such as shares within UOB corporate clients.
What's the one key risk in what you're recommending?